Now, during this section of Keep Your Cash, we're going to be talking all about how to fix issues inside your persistency. Now, as a recap, let's talk about persistency really is looking at the policies that are issued and if they're staying in force for at least 13 months over that 17-month time period of a block that we're looking at. And so in my historical experience, what I've found is there's really three major reasons why a client doesn't keep their policy. And let's talk about those. Weak commitment, client experience, and inattention. So let's talk about the first one, weak commitment on this. Now, what to me is a weak commitment is that we didn't get a strong enough commitment from that client. We kind of sold the policy as, hey, if you have any extra money, or hey, how important is this? And we sold it as after you pay everything else into your life, what's the last thing that we can put on top of is the life insurance policy. And so one of the things that we need to recognize for a client is it's incredibly important for them to understand that the life insurance is a foundational piece of their finances. And when times get tough, and what I mean by times get tough, for some people, they need the new phone, or they need a new drink at a Starbucks, whatever it might be, that they start to wonder if they are paying their money for a life insurance policy is important for them. We need to make sure that they understand this is the foundation of their finances. So there's a number of ways to make sure we get that strong commitment. Number one is ask for that 2-year commitment we talked about in a prior video. Number two is we really recommend having an outbound phone call from the office there to do a quality check to make sure a client understands and really wants that policy. Kind of shaking that application, if you will, to make sure nothing falls out before you submit it. This is key. A lot of times, if I see somebody's having persistency challenges, is that they have somebody who might sell very quickly emotionally, and they really didn't lock in that sale. So take the time. Make sure you're getting strong commitments at the kitchen table, following up with the office manager, calling out and solidifying that sale with that quality call from an office manager. But that's weak commitment. The second reason that I see a number of times that we don't have great persistency is when we don't have the greatest client experience. Now, here's the thing that I always ask when we talk about client experience, is that I'd ask to say, have you ever not gone back to a restaurant because of the way they've treated you? Right? We probably all have not gone back to a restaurant because the way they treated us. The food might have been fantastic, but if we didn't get treated right, we'll say, I'll never go there again. Now, on the opposite side, I say, have you ever gone to a restaurant where the food is just okay, but the experience is incredible? I bet you'll tell me that you'll still visit those restaurants because the way you feel matters. And so we need to make sure we're prioritizing the way our clients feel through this process. And so with that, let's talk about the client experience and things that you can do to really change your client experience. On this slide, we're going to show you kind of risk and reward. What are the client experience things that you can do to improve how your client feels about a Primerica interaction? Now, are you doing customer care calls? Are you maybe doing a 2-step sales approach? You might say, hey, tonight the visit, we're just going to learn and we're going to come back. Not always easy, but hey, it might be something that you want to look at. Are you doing investments? Are you doing F&As? Are you doing 5-port market? All the things. And what I found is the better the client experience, right, it reduces your risk of lapse. And so on the inverse side, if we choose to say, hey, I'm not going to do a customer call, I'm not going to do a 2-step approach, I'm not talking about investments, F&As, all the different things, I'm going to go into a maybe just somebody who's single and they're married and they're working, they have a good income, and we don't give them any of the extra experience things that could actually change it. So somebody that might be the highest risk, we give a worse experience, and it's crazy to me. We need to really pride ourselves on our client experience as how we want to handle this. So I challenge you, what's the experience that you're giving to your clients? What are the things that you're focused on to make sure your clients feel good about the policy they purchased from you? So let's talk about the timeline of a lapsing policy and why it's so important to pay attention to the tools that you have. So the first thing is you recognize is the time frame it goes to when a policy is going to go lapse. The first thing that happens typically is a client misses their payment, right? So if they miss their payment, they're in a grace period that, God forbid, if anything were to happen to them, they're taken care of during that time period. The next thing that's going to happen is a late pay offer that's going to come through that process that say, hey, it's been over 30 days that you've had the policy. And now the last thing that happens is the policy goes lapsed. And so with that, you have over 60 days to really pay attention to it. Make sure you're using that conservation report to utilize and look at all the application, all the policies that may be in the process of lapsing. The thing I would challenge you is this, is if you see on the conservation report a client has missed their premium, instead of waiting the policy go lapsed, get on the phone, call your client, find out is there something going on, rather than waiting 60 days for that policy to go lapse. Being intentional, focusing on that process is really key through this business. And so with that, as I remind you, the key pieces on persistency, weak commitment, client experience, and inattention. Make sure you're building your business that has strong commitments, a great client experience, and you're paying attention to the tools that can really help you focus on having a great quality business.